So the secret to scaling, if you're an entrepreneur and you're growing your business and you're like, I want to scale to 7, 8, 9 figures and beyond. The secret, I'm gonna let you in on the secret. You ready for this? You're gonna want to write this down, right? The secret to scaling your business is to first do the things that don't scale. I shared this the other day on Twitter and somebody reached out and he's like, hey, can you expand? I don't quite understand. So let's get into the details here. A lot of time when I'm speaking to like new entrepreneurs, they have an idea. They have this $1 million idea and they're thinking about what it's going to look like when they get to $1 billion. They're looking through the lens of this finished product many years down the road, and they're asking themselves questions about how this is going to scale, what's the viability of it long term. And it's good to start with the outcome in mind, to understand what type of company are you trying to build, what size and scale are you trying to get to, because that will dictate how a lot of the beginning steps that you'll take and the market that you try to address, right? So that's important, but often I find that this is just an advanced form of procrastination that young, new entrepreneurs make as a means for avoiding taking the steps forward and doing actual work. It's mental masturbation, thinking about how to scale and do all these things, when the reality is, in the beginning, until you get to middle of 7 figures, if not even low 8 figures, your concern is not to like, how am I going to scale? That's not really the issue. The issue is, how do I create a product customers want? How do I get this in front of them? How do I deliver it to them? How do I manage my cash flows and my finances in a way that I keep money in the bank and I keep the whole thing rolling so I can pay my employees, right? Your concern needs to be less on what are the big systems and processes that are going to allow you to scale, and to ask yourself in the beginning, what am I doing to get customers, to make them happy? That's it. And to do that, you're gonna have to do a lot of things that don't scale. Here's what I mean by that. A good example of something that doesn't scale that I've used to scale our personal brand on social media is that I respond to as many comments as I can. So we get hundreds, if not thousands of comments every single week. And I do my best. In the past, I was able to respond to all of them. I'm too busy these days, I can't get to them all, but we've reached scale now. But in the beginning, I was responding to every single one. Hand-to-hand combat doesn't scale. You can't beat an army in one-to-one combat, right? But you can win the little battles, and those battles gain momentum and they get you forward progress, right? That's an example of doing something that doesn't scale. Another example of doing something that doesn't scale that we've done in previous businesses is when we have a customer go through the transaction process, they buy the product, they buy the widget, we send the widget to them, we reach back out to them one-on-one as owners and get their feedback and talk to them, have a conversation. Phone calls with customers don't scale for owners of businesses. It doesn't scale, but it's one of those activities that has so many compounding effects that will help you scale down the road in terms of getting feedback and getting your finger on the pulse of what your customers are liking and not liking, to build loyalty within your customer base as like, oh, they really actually care about my experience with this product. That's what I mean by doing things that don't scale. For instance, again, the content that I create, I don't create this in a mass-produced type of way. I don't try to maximize or optimize for how much content I can produce. If I was, I could use ChatGPT. I could use distribution services like Hypefury or Hootsuite to distribute my content. And my VAs do that for me. I create it all myself. I hand it to my team to edit, and then one-on-one, we handle the distribution. So you could use the systems and worry about the scale. But more important in the beginning is to make sure that you have signal. Don't just turn up the volume when you have static. I think that's what the mistake that a lot of us make in the beginning in thinking about how to scale is we're trying to turn up the volume, but we haven't zeroed in on the signal yet. And so the beginning is you just making those micro adjustments on the dial back and forth, trying to get the radio station to come in. And as soon as you do, now you can crank it up. And so that's what I mean when we say the secret to scaling is to do things that don't scale. And you keep doing that until you get to the point where you can't possibly do those things anymore. And now you need to solve the solutions in a way with teams, with systems and processes that does scale. And scale comes as a consequence of doing things that don't scale. That's where the focus really needs to be. And I find the people who get that equation flipped and inverted, and they're focusing on how do I scale before they've even gotten traction, They're the ones that just end up spinning their wheels and doing the mental masturbation, but never actually building something that, much less it doesn't scale, but it doesn't even get off the ground. Your concern as the entrepreneur is to get off the ground. I like to use the analogy of a rocket ship. First, the rocket is our business. We need to get it on the landing pad. We need to have a product or service there, right? You as the pilot, as the entrepreneur sitting behind that will be dictating how fast and how far that rocket can go. Now, in the beginning, you're trying to get liftoff, you're trying to get ignition, you're trying to get outside of the planet's gravitational force, and that is a very hard energy consuming phase of existence. You just have to brute force it. The amount of energy and fuel you have to pour out of the rocket to get up into the stratosphere is enormous. But once you escape the gravitational pull, now this is where we can focus on what I call escape velocity. And that's where scale comes. But you can't worry about the escape velocity when your rocket's still sitting on the ground. So I hope this brings you some value. I hope it gives you a new way of thinking about the vehicle of business. If you want more help with this stuff, we are taking submissions for the Beyond the Apex Accelerator program, which is the most robust training I have ever seen on business. Everything that you need to grow a business from 5, 6, 7 figures all the way up. It's going to have weekly coaching calls with myself and my team so that we can help coach you through, help personalize, and identify the issues that are standing in front of you so that your rocket can fly as fast and far as you can possibly imagine. So if that's interesting to you, go to beyondtheapex.com, go join the wait list there, fill out the little form, and we'll get back to you if it's a good fit and as we start to open the doors to the program. So I'll catch you guys in the next episode, but until then, stay hyper-focused, my friends.